Welcome to K108.9, the hottest talk show on the radio. Today is a beautiful Wednesday morning in 1801. Today we have a special on the politics of early America. Our first guest today is George Washington. Hi, welcome to the show. Thanks for having me. Our first question for you is, why did you not seek a third term in presidency? Recently, you posted on your Facebook wall that it is better to remain neutral. What do you mean by that?
That means that it is better for America not to associate itself in foreign conflicts like the war between France and Britain. I didn't seek a third term because it was a really hard decision, but in the end, I decided not to because I wanted to get rid of any notion of me becoming king. I thought it would be the best for our country and for our government if I didn't continue. So it was a great honor to serve as your nation's first president.
Very interesting. Thank you. As you all may know, President John Adams succeeded George Washington. It is a very interesting fact that when George Washington made his announcement, it set in motion the first real competition for presidency. It has also further contributed to the two parties, the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. Next up, we have the famous Alexander Hamilton. Hello, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
So what can you tell us about the two different parties?
Well, I'm a main leader in the Federalist Party, while the Democratic Republicans are led by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison.
Who are mainly part of these two groups, and how did their ideas differ?
Well, the Federalists are made up of mainly merchants, manufacturers, and lawyers. They expect the rich people to provide national leadership, and they want to promote the development of commerce. People belonging to the Republican Party, on the other hand, are made up of planters, farmers, and tradespeople. The people are particularly strong in the South. Their supporters believe that farmers deserve the greatest voice in the government, and they want to protect states' rights and individual liberties by limiting the power of the government. During the election of 1800, the hostility between these two parties was evident.
Thank you very much. You have really enlightened us about the two different parties. Speaking of parties, find all of your party needs at partyplanner.com. Back to the show. Our next guest is Thomas Jefferson. Welcome.
Hi, I'm glad I'm here to be here.
So congratulations on becoming president last year. As we all know, there was a little drama over the election. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, in a nutshell, Aaron Burr and I tied for president. In the end, I was president, and Burr became vice president. Later, after the election, the 12th Amendment was passed.
What is the 12th Amendment?
That is an amendment made to the Constitution which requires electors to vote for the president and vice president on separate ballots to make sure two people don't tie for president again.
So what do you mean when you tweeted, advertisements contain the only truth to be relied on in a newspaper?
People often talk trash in the newspapers about everything, and it's garbage. If people are both being untruthful and talking trash.
There was a big controversy over the Alien and Sedition Acts. Can you clue us in more on what they are?
The Alien Acts were passed because of the conflict of France. They authorized the president to imprison foreigners he thought were dangerous to the peace and security of the U.S. The Sedition Act targeted many U.S. citizens. There was so much more trash talking in the newspapers between the two parties that Congress decided to intervene. Anyone who printed, wrote, or said anything false about the government or the president would either be jailed or fined.
How did the colonists react to these acts?
Well, they protested much, and they claimed that it violated their rights as American citizens. So in 1798 through 1799, James Madison and I wrote the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions, which denounced the Alien and Sedition Acts as unconstitutional. We argued that those two acts went beyond the power of the federal government.
Well, thank you very much. Our time is up. You certainly enlightened all of us about the politics from 1796 to today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning when we have our guest Aaron Burr.